Hi, I'm Carolyn. This is my fiance John, and he's joining me this week to talk about his experience with hallucinations through borderline personality disorder.
Hi.
So John, you have borderline personality disorder, as I've said, and why don't you just tell us a little bit about what that's been like for you?
Like Carolyn said, I'm John. Borderline personality for a long time was rough. I didn't realize I had it until I was, 37-ish. Hyper-react emotionally to everything. I used to be able to create scenarios in my head that I would respond to emotionally as if they were actually happening. Like if I'd imagine a loved one dying or somebody really wronging me in some way, like the emotional reaction is always visceral, and like I'd catch myself and be like, okay, dude, that didn't actually happen. Let's start thinking about something different. So I guess when I trigger myself like that, I could pull myself out. It would take me a while, and I would have the actual emotions, but just outside of that, I'd have these large emotional outbursts that were highly disruptive to everybody around me. When I was younger, they were violent. I'd get very, very angry. And as I grew older and started trying to kind of work to be a better person, the outbursts would be a little bit more, I don't want to say emotional, because anger is an emotional, an angry outburst is an emotional outburst, but like more hurt. I'd more internalize what was happening instead of throw it out at somebody else. And I just couldn't control that kind of stuff for a long time. So, and I didn't really know what it was either, but people would always get really tired of me. I'd have people in my life for a little bit, then they would just sort of go away. Yeah.
I've done that too.
Yeah.
I also have borderline.
Yeah, I would overreact to an awful lot of stuff. Yeah.
Aside from your strong emotional reactions, were there any other reactions you had that seemed abnormal?
So I'd always thought I had like a really, really strong imagination. Given that I was also able to, like, if I thought about something, hypothetically for long enough, I would start to feel as if it was actually happening. And so that kind of plays into this other thing where from early childhood up till even now, sometimes it happens, but I kind of have, I have things under control to a higher degree now. I don't know, man, my mind would just start playing tricks on me. Early on in life, it was really easy to like talk to adults about it and have them say, oh, that's just your eyes playing tricks on you. There's not really a monster over there or something like that. And then you cut forward to my adult life, and I've had these episodes when I'm really stressed out where like, and it's usually similar or the same, but like I can hear just a horde of zombies approaching from somewhere. I can hear them moaning. I can start to smell the rotting flesh. And those little bouts of what I know now is it's like mini psychosis that some people with borderline personality can get, because the borderline is, it's defined as the borderline between being neurotic and psychotic, or neurosis and psychosis. But yeah, those can last for like 15 minutes is the longest one I've ever had. I'm not sure why it's usually the zombies, except for I was exposed to some media content when I was very young. That was, like zombie movies, Michael Jackson Thriller video, that my dad would force me to watch because it terrified me. So he thought it was going to like, he would try to point out how hokey it looked, like, I see everything just fell out of his stomach. He can't be moving now. And I'm just like, you shouldn't be, no.
Whoa.
So I can hear them, I could smell them, and when I was younger, if I was walking home, it was always just a brisk, just keep moving, just keep moving, just keep moving. If I was home, it was always get up, look out my window, go downstairs, creep towards the windows and the door and check, until finally I resolved that, you know what, if that's what's happening out there, you're going to wake up to all hell. If not, you're going to wake up and nothing's going on. Okay, we're just going to go to sleep, we're just going to try to sleep, we're just going to try to sleep. But as I started to get older, I don't know, I was always kind of aware that, like, I think having had the experience enough, I knew that, like, this likely isn't something that's really going on. So I could usually challenge those ideas pretty quickly. But yeah, they're always brought on by stress. That or some sensory experiences. Like for the longest time, if I was walking outside and I heard a bunch of sirens go by, immediately in that state, whether I was stressed or not, it would trigger that kind of response. There was always a bit of panic with that when that would happen. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is, whereas somebody who has like schizoaffective, for instance, where they can end up on these huge breaks, where they're for the most part not aware that what's going on isn't real, and maybe they get little bouts of like lucid thinking where they're aware that something's wrong. In my instances, they're always very short-lived, and I'm at least aware intellectually that like, well, this can't actually be real.
Right.
And whether that's from repeated exposure to that and it not happening, or just, you know, the strength of the psychotic reaction not being enough, whichever one of those is the case, I don't know. But yeah, that kind of stuff happening when I was a child, I always thought it was just my imagination. So.
You know, it was kind of like that for me when I first went into my first episode, because the little blips of psychosis I was having at the beginning were really short-lived. It wasn't like all at once I was completely full-blown in it. It was like I would have a hallucination like once every few days, and then just they became more frequent. But at first it was like the same thing of like, this can't be right. Like I'm hearing things, this is my imagination. I have a really strong imagination. Like I absolutely thought the same things, because like I still had that logical presence of, okay, this will be over soon, and then I'll know that it was just my mind. Like it was imagination.
Sure. Oh, that reminds me. Yeah, so I'd have lighter episodes, either at the beginning, like when I was starting to get stressed, or just out of nowhere, and this is all that would happen. I'd hear someone talking to me outside the window. Usually, like I've been sitting, I remember when one very clear one, you and I were laying in bed when you were living at your friend's house, and I heard somebody asking for me outside.
Eesh.
Yeah, and it's never like I think it's actually the person there. It's always very alarming and very jolting, you know. And I look out the window and then I think about it, and it usually takes the first, John. I'm always,
oh my God,
that was weird, and I'll kind of perk up, and then I won't hear it, and then I hear, John.
Oh,
and then I hear it twice, and it's like, okay, you know, and it's always creepy when it happens.
It is. That does sound really creepy.
That's about the only thing, though, is it's never just a voice talking that I know of. It's always just somebody asking me by name, you know.
Yeah, I've never actually had someone like call my name or anything, but I've had people just annoy the shit out of me being around me. They don't even talk to me, they just never shut up.
I'm sure.
Anyway, what works for you to like stay out of that state? And also, like, how long has it been since that's happened?
I can't even remember, like, yeah, I think the last time I was triggered by sirens, like fully like gone into survival mode for a second before I realized that wasn't happening, was 3 years ago.
Wow.
So I've been clean and sober 4 years, so it was
Yeah.
early in recovery, and I still get little moments where like I'll hear music that isn't there,
Ooh, I get that too.
and that'll keep me awake.
Yeah.
But usually I can just like pull out the tablet and put something on, you know, put headphones in, and then that's what I'm hearing until I fall asleep.
I had no idea, and that's really funny because that's happened to me a few times recently just from stress, and I wonder if we've ever like had that happening at the same time and just had no idea that we were both hearing music. Maybe we were on different frequencies of the radio and you were listening to like REM, get it, because of sleep, and I was listening to like Talking Heads.
Right. But what works? So in general, some cognitive behavioral therapy. Dialectical behavioral therapy is good. That keeps me out of the weeds. And then cognitive behavioral therapy is once I start to see and feel like a gosh, what do I call those? Once I start to feel any kind of emotions or feelings that are
unsustainable
emotion. It's a word I use a lot. And anytime I start to find that I'm in that realm already, challenging my thoughts, right? Like, I don't know, a specific example is, say, I don't know, I'm not talking about anything. This is going to sound like I'm talking about Carolyn and I, but this is the only example I can think of because it's a common one. Say you're going out with somebody and they happen to talk about an ex that they're still friends with or had a good experience with, and you get to thinking, well, God, I feel like shit, you know, he or she or they was talking about their ex like they're the best person in the world. Like, how am I supposed to feel? That thought would be challenged by like, well, how do you know that? You know, and the next thought is, well, because they said it. Okay, but did they actually say those words? No. Okay, then what proof do you have that this guy was any guy, girl, or non-binary person or whatever is actually a great person? Oh, I guess I don't really have any evidence. You know, those are just my thoughts. And sort of challenging your thinking like that can kind of start to help. But outside of that, it sounds kind of corny, but just grounding myself. Usually breathing helps. Sometimes a pillow over the face and screaming helps. I don't usually have to do those so much anymore though, but yeah, usually breathing techniques or just stepping outside and picking out objects of a specific pre-chosen color, or, you know, doing like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, where I listen for 5 sounds, I identify them, then I look in my surroundings for 5 different objects, and I identify those, you know, I say what the objects are, then standing silent with my eyes closed and just perceiving 5 things I can feel, not emotions, but like right now I can feel my shirt on my shoulders, I can feel the fan over there on, and you do that, and then after you do 5 of each of those, you start again with the sounds, and you do 4 of them, and usually before I get to 1, I'm already calmed down because I've completely forgotten whatever it was stressing me out, and I'm just kind of living in the moment again.
Okay, so you may have noticed that we're in a different location, and that is because our camera cut off in the middle of us filming yesterday. So we're here, we're back, and we just had one last thing we wanted to say. So with that being said, John, what would you say to someone who is struggling with borderline personality disorder?
Couple things. One, like a personality disorder doesn't define your personality. Like it's not you. There's no disorder about you. It's usually caused by trauma and mental illness and stuff like that. And the other thing is, like, if you knew me today, you would have no idea that I struggled with BPD for years. I still have my bouts, but to all appearances, I'm a very well-adjusted human. So self-care, therapy, things like that, you can get out of that hole. You don't have to live like that forever. So that's all.
Anyway, we'll be back, maybe together, maybe separately, with another video next week. I put up videos every Monday. Thank you so much for checking this out. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you'd like to see more.
Separately? What do you mean?
Oh.
Bye. Was that it? That was, I did the jingle. The 5 stars.
Oh my God.
Over the borderline. Keep on pushing my love over the borderline. Borderline. Yeah, I'm 40. I'm allowed to move like that.
Tell.
I'm 40 years old.
It's amazing your joints can move like that. I wish I'd known that the fan was going before we started recording this.
That's okay.
It'll have to be.